Welcome back to the channel, guys, and I hope you guys are doing pretty good. This is going to be the day 30 of our 90 days SDET interview prep. And in today's class, we will be focusing on the topic of Playwright. Now, in this class, we will be majorly focusing on 5 interview questions, which was recently asked to one of the student of the SDET masterclass. Now, if you guys have been the part of the 90 days SDET interview prep series, the lectures which I have covered so far was majorly focusing on your Java, on your Selenium WebDriver, rest assured, and all the coding related questions and all. But now, as the IT industry is changing, okay, there is a lot of focus now on the topic of Playwright, particularly with TypeScript. On this particular channel, I guess the last video which I released was on the Playwright framework, the foundational part. Over there, I got a comment where someone was asking me to create the framework with Playwright and Java. Now, it's not that I can't create the framework with Playwright and Java. It's just that the market right now is majorly focusing on Playwright with TypeScript. So if you guys are planning to upgrade your skills or learn new things, it's better to focus on JavaScript, TypeScript. That's the first thing. And then you focus on the Java part and all those stuff. Okay. People who have been studying with me for the SDET masterclass, all the projects that we have done so far, whether it was the rest assured framework, the Selenium framework, and even the Java project, please make sure that you put it in your resumes, because those frameworks are basically enterprise level framework. And if you guys just showcase that also, okay, and you just do these interview questions, I am pretty sure you will be able to easily pull it off. Okay. The same concepts gets applicable into the Playwright lectures. So the Playwright lectures which will get added into the LMS, over there you will notice that there is going to be a lot of synergy. Okay. Anyways, people on YouTube, please make sure that now whatever the lectures that I will be adding, the next couple of lectures that I'll be adding is only going to be on the Playwright interview questions. So please make sure that you practice it off properly. Okay. And always try to write the code along with me. Okay. Now this particular class is going to be a combination of me going through the notes, then like writing some code. So I'm going to give you enough time to practice the same stuff at your end. But please don't do a binge watch. Instead of doing a binge watch, get involved in the lectures. Try to practice the same thing at your end. Okay. That's the reason, because I give you a lot of time to write the code. The length of the videos are pretty big. But if you guys study on a Saturday or a Sunday, you can use those time wisely. Just play some good music, practice this thing, and you're going to do just fine. Anyways, back over here to this particular topic. Now, the thing is, the questions that we will be covering for today, guys, is going to be the first one. What are the locator strategies that Playwright gives you? The second one is going to be, in what order should you prefer locators, okay, and why? So what are the different locators Playwright gives you, and what is the order of preference, the priority in which priority you're going to use a certain locator? That is something that you should be aware of. The next one, a locator matches two elements. What happens and how do you fix it? So let's say if you're using a particular locator, and with that particular locator, you got two elements. So what is going to happen, okay, particularly with Playwright, and how you can fix it off. Okay, so that's something that we will be covering it off. Again, it's a scenario driven question. And how do you work with a list of elements? Now, when you were talking about Selenium WebDriver, you were having your find elements method and all, right? So over here, it's going to be a bit different. So that is also something that you should be aware of. And how do you click on a button inside one specific table row? So you will notice the last three questions are majorly scenario driven questions. And what I've done is, in order to cover all these 5 questions, I have created a sample application we will be using that particular sample application to learn locators. Also, like automate the 3 scenarios. Perfect. So I hope you guys are ready. As I've said, the lecture is going to be pretty long. So you can literally pause this particular video, get yourself some tea, coffee, okay, and then we'll start. All right, guys, I hope you guys are ready. Now, let's talk about the locators in Playwright. But before I talk about the locators in Playwright, let me ask you, what are the different locators that you have seen in Selenium WebDriver? This, though, I believe everyone can easily talk about, right? So if I'm talking about your Selenium WebDriver locators, okay, we were having ID, then you have name, okay, then you have class name, then you have link text, right? You have partial link text, then you have your tag name, next you have XPath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 8th one is your CSS selector, which comes into picture. Okay, so these are basically the 8 locators that we have in Selenium WebDriver. Now, out of these 8 locators, which is the most preferred one? Yes, we always go with ID, right? We always go with ID because we know that whenever there is going to be an ID attribute, that ID is going to be unique, right? Now, Playwright works in a bit different way. Playwright says that I don't give a damn about IDs and all. Okay. For Playwright, there are 7 locators. How many? There are 7 locators type. You want to make a note of this particular stuff. People who are part of the YouTube Tech with Jatin membership, you're going to find the notes in the download section. Okay. So over here, when we are talking about the locators, the first locator that Playwright gives us is get by role. It gives us something which is called as get by role. Now, what do you mean by role? Yes, what do you mean by role over here? See, every HTML element has an implicit role. And when we are talking about a user, okay, user does not give a damn about the tag. Okay, it does not give a damn about the IDs. Okay, if a user is using the application, do you think he's going to click on an element which has a certain ID? No. Is it going to click on a heading one? No. For him, he's going to just click on a heading. For him, he's going to just click on a checkbox. For him, he's going to click on a button. So heading, your button, your text box, your checkbox, these are what? These are roles. So every HTML element technically has an implicit role. Now I am using the word implicit role. Can I explicitly also give a role? Yes, you can give the role by yourself. So over here, if you notice, this is where I have a button. This button technically has a visible text called login. Okay. So implicitly, this button has a role called button. Okay. But if I am going to have a link, here I am having this anchor tag. Now, anchor tag is basically link. So this anchor tag explicitly has a role which is called as a button. So if I write something like this, get a role by button, name as login, so over here, it is going to find me both these elements. Okay, why? Because this button has a role button and here we have explicitly said ki baba this link is going to be working as a button. So the role over here is button. Are you getting the point? This is what role-based locators are. And understand something, guys. Your Playwright, I was going to say Selenium WebDriver, your Playwright basically gives highest importance to role-based locators. Now the next question that comes is ki baba, who is going to decide all these roles? Who is going to decide all these roles? The thing is, when we are talking about roles now, there is something which is called as ARIA. You might have seen it on a lot of your HTML pages, the DOM structures and all. There's something which is called as ARIA. ARIA basically stands for Accessible Rich Internet Application. Okay? Accessible Rich Internet Application. And over here, ARIA is basically a set of attributes you add to HTML to make the web page more accessible, mainly for the screen reader and assistive technologies. So HTML elements have implicit ARIA roles. You don't need to write the role explicitly. Can I write it explicitly? I can write it off. But implicitly, if I am going to talk about the input type text box, the ARIA role is going to be text box. If I'm going to say that input type is going to be password, it is still going to be considered as a text box only. Okay. So if I'm going to say get role by text box, I'm going to be talking about input types. I'm going to talk about the text box areas only. If I'm going to have a button on a page, the role is going to be button. If I'm going to have a link, okay, ahref, I'm automatically saying it's a link over here, right? If you're going to have a table, it's going to be a table. And inside that table, if I'm going to have any rows, they're going to be called as a row. Okay. So these roles basically come from your ARIA, okay, your Accessible Rich Internet Applications. Playwright uses these ARIA roles to find the elements. I hope this particular part makes sense to everyone. Now, over here, the first is basically get by role. And when we are talking about get by role, we are talking about the ARIA roles. And these roles are basically used by Playwright to locate the elements. The next is going to be get by label. So if there is going to be any label text or something, that also you can use it. Don't worry about how you're going to use it in the code and all. We'll do it in some time. Just go with the names first. The next is going to be get by placeholder. If you are going to have any text box, chances are you are going to have a placeholder. You will be using a placeholder, na? So over here, if you are interacting with a text box, it is better to go with a get by placeholder. Okay. Now over here, if you look at label, this is the label. Label basically has a visible text username. So if I'm talking about get by label username, it is going to give me this particular element, and explicitly I have written over here ARIA label username, right? So over here it is going to give me this element also, because here you are giving the label as username. Perfect. Then get by text. So if there is going to be a text which is going to be present, the visible text which is going to be present on the HTML page, and you want to find an element based on the visible text, you can go with get by text. Okay. And the thing over here is, understand one thing. Get by text basically comes later in this entire locator part, right? The first is role, second is label, then placeholder, then text. This is because for a human, it is very easy to locate a checkbox, a text box, a button, a drop down, right? These things we can easily locate. But if I tell you to find a particular text on a page, that is going to take a little bit of time, right? Because you have to then scan through this entire page. So that's the reason your get by text should come later in your locator preference. Here I have given the priority also. The first priority is going to be on the role. Second priority is going to be on the label. Third priority is going to be on the placeholder. Fourth priority is going to be text. If even after by text you are not able to find the element, you are going to go with test ID. Okay. So over here, whenever you are going to have any element, okay, which you're not able to find with role, label, your placeholder or your text, go with test ID. These test IDs are technically added by your developer for a particular element to be located. So over here, you can use this get by test ID login button or something. So login button is going to be data hyphen test ID, which is going to be added, right? So if you notice, there is going to be a data hyphen test ID login button, and I can use it to find the login button. Then comes the alternate text. Get by alternate text is technically going to be used only for images. Okay, majorly it's used for your images. So if you're going to have an image, there is going to be this alternate option, right? So this is the alternate text. So if you want to locate a image, you can use this get by alternate text. All right. So these are the 6 locators. Now in Selenium WebDriver, if you guys have created the framework, 90% of the time you would have used a CSS selector or XPath, right? CSS selector or XPath. When you are using CSS selector or XPath, what happens is your framework or their test scripts is technically becomes brittle because we follow a certain level of hierarchy. Okay, first you're gonna find the input, then you're gonna find a div or something like that. That inside that div you're gonna find another element and all those things, right? So your Playwright also offers CSS selectors as well as your XPath, but the thing is it should be used least. Because if you're using a CSS selector or XPath, it might be able to find the element, but your scripts are going to become brittle. Okay. So now, what was used most in Selenium WebDriver, your ID, XPath, your CSS selector, it's technically used the least in Playwright. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. So over here, let's say I have this input ID username, okay? And I want to locate this input with the ID attribute. So I can say hash username, okay? Hash always means the ID. Hash always means the ID. So hash username basically is going to give me this particular element, okay? I can also write locator input. Locator input. So 2 / input basically means find anywhere on the page input. So you're going to end up getting the 2 input, the 2 text boxes over here. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. These are the 7 locators in your Playwright. Now, I want you guys to pause this particular video, quickly go through all these points, like just go through, skim through it so that these parts are clear to everyone. I hope you guys have gone through it. Now what we are going to do? We will be practicing these locators somewhere, right? That's something that we need to do it off. So over here, guys, what I want you guys to do is, I want you guys to go to the desktop, create a folder called SDET with Jatin, okay? And try to follow the same folder structure, whatever I'm doing, because what happens is, if you try to do it in some other directory or something, you will end up getting some different errors, okay? And debugging those errors kind of makes very difficult, okay? So what you do is, on your desktop only, you create a folder, give the folder name the same name as did with Jatin, okay? I already have this particular folder. And for me, in this particular folder, I have this JavaScript masterclass and my Playwright project, my practice one, okay? But for you guys, I'm going to create a fresh one. So what I'm going to do is, here, inside the SDET with Jatin, I'm going to right click and I'm going to quickly create a new folder. We're going to call this particular folder as Playwright-practice. Okay, Playwright-practice. All right, then what we are going to do? We are going to right click and we're going to open this particular folder in VS Code. Perfect. Now, couple of things that you should be aware of. I have an extension which is installed over here, which is my Playwright test extension. Okay, you might have this particular extension. You don't have this extension, don't worry. We'll just quickly install this also. What you're going to do is, if you're not able to see this test tube right now, you are going to go to the extensions. Okay, and you're going to search for something which is called as Playwright test runner. This is something, the Playwright test for VS Code. This is the one which I have. It has like 2.6 million downloads. So you can just click over here. Let me just uninstall also for you guys. Okay. So I have uninstalled it. Okay. I really don't have any extensions now over here. I can just go back over here and I can install this particular extension. That's the first thing that I'm doing. So the moment I do this, it gets installed over here. Perfect. Let's close this particular stuff. Let me just bring this guy over here for a moment. What happened over here? Yeah. The next thing is I'm going to click on the three dots over here. I'm going to go to the terminal and I'm going to click on new terminal. Okay. And from PowerShell, I'm going to change it to, let me just change this guy to your git bash. This is something what I need. Perfect. Okay. Now what we want to do? We want to set up Playwright. Okay. If you guys have watched the last video, how was Playwright installation done? What was the command over there? npm install. No. You're going to say npm init playwright @latest. Now, again, this is very important from the fundamental perspective. Okay, people can ask an interview, people might not ask an interview, just be aware of it. Why we are using npm init and not npm install? Okay, generally when you have worked with Newman, you say npm install Newman, right? Or you say npm install HTML extra and all those things. But for Playwright, I'm saying npm init. Okay. The thing is, when you do npm init, it starts prompting some of the questions. Okay, it's going to keep on taking inputs from you. And based on those inputs, it's going to set up the bare minimum configuration file. It's going to set up the project structure, the hierarchies, and all those things will be given to you. So in Selenium WebDriver, you used to have the Maven project. So you used to only get the SRC test Java, SRC main Java, and those were the folder structure. Okay. But then after that, we were supposed to create all the packages and all. So it used to take a lot of time. So the bare minimum configuration, okay, is going to be given us if we are using npm init playwright @latest. So just hit enter. The moment I do this, it's going to start asking, do you want to use TypeScript or JavaScript? We will be using TypeScript. Where do you want to put your end-to-end test? We want to put it in the test folder. Do you want to have a GitHub Actions workflow file? Yes, I want to have it. Do you want to install the Playwright browsers? So yes, the tests are not going to be executed on your Chrome browser. It's going to get executed on Chromium. Then it is going to have the Safari browser, the WebKit that is going to be there. And as well as it's going to have the Firefox, okay, browser. That's things which will be installed by Playwright. It's not going to use the Chrome browser which is installed on my computer. Okay, that's something which is going to happen, and it's going to take a little bit time. And boom, it has given us the basic project structure. So over here, you will see the playwright.config.ts file which is there, and you have the package.json file. Okay, and the test folder is there. Inside the test folder, it has given us a sample test. Okay. Now, over here, I hope you guys have done the setup. The next thing, we want to have a website, right? We want to have an application that we will be testing, okay? Or at least use it for working with locators. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to quickly go to my Chrome browser. So over here, guys, I have this particular website, Jatin99.github.io, playwright-demo-app. I've kept it very simple. Okay. And this particular website majorly revolves on the 5 questions that we will be focusing on today. Okay. So please make sure, guys, you try to visit this particular website, jatin99.github.io /playwright-demo-app. I'm going to put it in the comment section also. You can technically take it from there. So I'm going to copy this. Okay. We're going to go to the playwright config.ts. We'll bring this guy a little bit down. And what I'm going to do is, there is one place where you can give the base URL. This is the base URL. Base URL to use in actions like await page.goto. Okay. Base URL is this guy. So over here, where http://localhost:3000 is written, I'm going to remove this and I'm going to paste this chat. Okay. So whenever I will be saying page.goto and I remove this, it is empty right now, right? But the thing is, it is going to take the value from the playwright config.ts, which is going to be this. Perfect. Now, the next thing what we will be doing is we will be writing our script. Okay. So in the test folder, I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to call this as learning.spec.ts. Quickly create this particular file, learning.spec.ts. Now, over here, let me just close this git ignore playwright config.ts and this chap also. The next thing I'm going to say import. I want to import test, comma, expect from playwright test. Acha, over here, the AI assistance is activated. I want to close or technically stop this AI assistance because it's better that for the first time we write the code together. So how we can do that is you're going to go to file. You are going to go to preferences, settings, and inside settings, you're going to type Copilot. Okay. And once you've written Copilot, right, you are going to search over here. Let me just scroll down a little bit. This GitHub Copilot enable. And you see the star keyword, right? So the item over here is star. You just change it to false. Okay. Click on OK. And done. That's it. So now if I hit enter, I'm not going to get any suggestions. So when you're writing the code for the very first time, it's always better that you write it by yourself so that you understand how it is working. Okay, what is the purpose of certain keywords and all. And in this way, once you get used to of writing the scripts, then you use AI assistance. Okay, these things you can do it in office. But when you're studying with me, please make sure that the AI assistance is turned off. Anyways, so the first thing is we have imported test and expect. Expect is basically for assertion. And the test over here is because we want to have our test introduced. So the test block needs to be there. And this is going to technically come from the playwright. It's popping up over here. So I'm going to say test. And this particular test technically requires a title. So I'm going to give a title over here. Let's say the title is going to be learning locators. Okay. Then the next thing is going to be, we are going to use the async keyword. Okay. And then we are going to pass the page context. And now this is going to be your test block. Next, we're going to use the wait keyword. And I can say over here, page dot go to. Okay. Keep it empty. Now, you will notice that automatically I'm getting this play button. This play button is basically coming from the extension that we have installed. If you're not able to see this particular play button, nothing to worry. You just go to your testing icon. Okay. And over here, it is automatically going to suggest those things. Now, over here, you can configure. Like I want to run this particular project only on Chromium. Okay. Not on Chrome, Chromium. And I can just click on the play button now. And you will notice that the browser is getting launched and we're technically on the website jatin99.github.io playwright-dem. Perfect. This is what I have written so far. Quickly write this particular stuff at your end. Now, what do we want? We want to work with locators, right? What is the first locator that came into picture? The strategy was role. Okay, get by role. Now, I can use code gen and I can just click on these things and technically I can get all the elements and all, but I don't want to do that. I want to learn with locators and all. My first goal over here is I want to get this playwright locator practice app. This visible text I want to print on my console. How can I do it? I want to right click over here, click on inspect. And what do I notice? That this is a H1 tag. Okay. This is a H1 tag. In this entire HTML page, there is only one H1, one heading. How do I know that? I only have created this website. So over here, that's how I know that. But if you notice, in this entire page, you just have one H1, single H1, which is there. So even if I do a Control F and I type H1, you will only find the first H1. Okay. So over here, what I'm going to say await, okay, page dot get by role. Over here, the role variable can take the values like alert box, alert dialog, application, articles, banner. So technically here it is suggesting me ki Baba, the role parameter that you have, the first thing that you're going to pass, what values it can take. Okay. I to have a heading, right? So over here we see a heading coming into picture. So I can say heading, comma. Okay. The next thing over here you can give is an object. Okay. And this is technically your normal JavaScript object over here. And I can see over here name. So it's a property, an object literal, which I'm passing over here. And over here, the property that it is taking is name. Name basically means it can be a placeholder. It can be the visible text. It can be the name attribute. It can be anything. Okay. Again, those things have been written in the notes. We'll see that. But over here, if I just take the word playwright, okay, or I say playwright locator. I'm going to take this playwright locator. I'm going to keep it over here. Now, this is my locator. Get by role, I need the heading, which basically has a name. Now, this name is technically for us the visible text. The visible text over here is playwright locator. Playwright locator. But if you notice, it is technically I'm only giving a partial text. Playwright locator. Practice app, I have not given it off. But it will still be able to locate it off. Now, this whole thing is technically locator, which I'm going to store it inside a variable. I'm going to call this as heading locator. What we want to print the visible text on a console, right? So I can say console.log heading locator dot text content. One thing you need to understand, whenever you are using any playwright methods, you are supposed to use the await keyword. So if I'm saying heading locator dot text content, I'm going to put await here also. If I don't put await, okay, the script is going to fail. Okay, let's save this particular stuff. Let's click on the play button. Let's bring this guy up. And you will notice that playwright locator practice app is getting printed on my console. So even though in the object literal, I'm not giving the full text, I'm only giving the partial text. It is able to locate the heading element because the role over here is heading. It is only going to focus on the heading part. Okay, all the headings where playwright comes into picture, there is only one heading. Okay, so that is something which I got over here, and that's what is getting away. And what if I want to do an exact match? Chances of that you doing is going to be pretty less, but let's assume you want to go with the exact match, meaning playwright locator practice app. Full word I want to check over here. Then what I'm going to do? Then you are supposed to pass the next attribute to this object literal, which is going to be exact. Exact technically takes the value as Boolean, true or false. So I can say exact equal to true. Now, when you say exact true, then it is going to match the casing. It is going to check for the exact word. Okay. So, because we have written exact true, if I'm going to click on the play button, you will notice that this script is going to fail. Okay. Because here it is exact true. And we don't have a heading with playwright locator. The exact word is playwright locator practice app. Okay. So I'm supposed to give the whole stuff. Okay. You see, after 30 seconds, it has failed. If I'm going to click on this button clean one more time, this time it works because we have given the exact word. So it is up to you whether you want to use the exact attribute or not. Generally, when you're working with applications, there will be certain words which are going to remain constant. Certain things are going to change. Like if a user is signing in, you say, hi Jatin, hi Raj, hi Uday. So hi is constant. The name of the user is changing. Are you getting the point? So over there, in that particular use case, you can't use the exact attribute. Is this part making sense to everyone? Perfect. Quickly do this particular stuff at your end. Okay. Now, what we want, let's go back over here. Let's bring this guy up. Over here, I want to enter the text in the username field and password. I'm supposed to select something from the drop down and I'm supposed to click on the login button. This is what I want to focus. So this is the credentials. I'm going to type over here admin. Password is admin123. From the drop down, I can select anything. I can just say, let's say QA engineer. I'm going to click on login and login is going to happen. So this is the part which I want to automate. So for that, what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to locate the elements. So we are supposed to locate 2 text box, 1 drop down and a login button. Perfect. So let's work on that. I'm going to right click over here. I'm going to click on inspect. And over here, we have this. Input ID username. Type is text. Placeholder is enter username. Okay. So what we will do? We will first work with, let's say, placeholder. Okay. Get by placeholder method we have, na? That is what we will be using. So I'm going to say await page. Let me just close this. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Yeah. Dot get by placeholder. Okay. And I'm supposed to give the placeholder over here, which I'm going to say enter username. I can copy this, paste it over here. And I want to fill some text over here. So I can just say dot fill admin. Perfect. So we are going to first locate the element and then we are performing the operation fill. Fill means the send keys one. Okay. Let's click on the play button. Let's see whether it works. Okay. Over here, it is waiting. And the reason it is waiting, let's see why. There was a space that I had given. But let's see. I can close this. I can run one more time. Okay. There was an extra white space. That's the reason. But over here, now admin has been written properly. Perfect. Now, await page.get by placeholder, enter username, fill admin. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. Now, the next thing, I want to fill the password. How to do that? I can say await page.get by placeholder. Okay. And here, I can right click on inspect. This is enter password. Copy this, paste it. Dot fill. And over here, the password is admin123. I can copy this, paste it here. Let's click on the play button one more time. Works. Perfect. It works over here. So over here, it has filled the username as well as the password over here. But what I want over here is I want to play with all the locators for these 2 text boxes. Okay, we saw get by placeholder. Now let's see what else we can do. If I am talking about this page get by method, we have something which is the locator method. No? Let's say the locator method is there. So here I can give my selector, the XPath selector, the CSS and all, I can pass it. So I am going to say find on this particular page, right click on inspect. ID is username. ID is username. So what I can say, hash username. ID always means hash. Okay. So I'm going with the CSS selector. I can say hash username dot fill. And I'm going to give a different name. Jatin. Okay. Let's save this. Let's click on the play button. You see, all the steps got executed. This also got executed in 12 milliseconds. Now, here's the most interesting thing. I have filled over your admin. Then I'm saying fill Jatin. Tell me what is going to happen. What is going to happen? Is Jatin going to be appended to admin? Let's see. The answer is no. Okay. Here you see admin has been removed and Jatin has been kept over here. So when you're using the fill method, what fill method is going to do? Fill method technically removes the old text and it keeps the new text. Again, a very important interview question. In interview, they can ask, how do you append the text with the help of Playwright? Then what you're going to say? In order to append the text, there is another method. Okay. So I'm just going to write this particular stuff quickly. I'm going to put a dot over here and I'm going to say press sequentially and I can give 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're saying press sequentially, if I'm going to click on the play button, you will notice that Jatin 1, 2, 3, 4 is coming. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets appended. So in order to append the text, you're going to use what? Press sequentially. Is this part making sense to everyone? Perfect. So over here, I have used the locator. And what locator I'm passing? I'm passing the CSS locator. You'll be like, Ari Jatin, but what if I want to pass text box or your X path over here? You can do that. Just change it to input, square bracket. Let's see, @ID equal to username. Okay. Let's close this. Let's see whether it works. And this also got worked. So here I'm passing the X path. Okay. And here also you'll see Jatin 1, 2, 3, 4 is there. Is this part making sense? Perfect. Now, this was just for your practice to see the different locators. We saw placeholder. Okay, we have the role popping up into picture. Now, let's comment this. What I want is, I want to select something from that drop down. Over here, we have entered the credentials. If I just click on the play button one more time, admin and the admin credential is there. Now I'm supposed to select something from this particular drop down. How to do that? Let's see. Now, whenever you guys are working with drop downs, okay, the best way to work with drop downs is to use locators only. Why do I say that? Understand this part. If I go back over here, guys, you will notice this drop down that we have, if I click on inspect, we have a select tag, right? Now, chuck all the select tags and all the tags away because Playwright is always going to majorly be focusing on roles. Okay, the accessibility part. So over here, when I'm looking at this particular drop down, I have two approaches that I can take. Either I can use the data test ID, which we have added over here, or we can use the locator, because if I use the locator, I can just give hash role, the CSS selector. Hash means ID, yes or no, and role is the value. So if I use hash role, I will be able to locate this particular element and then we can select the option from that, whatever we want. So look how to do that. Over here, I'm going to say await page.locator. Okay. And this is going to be hash role. See, this particular stuff, I can literally copy it, go back over here, do a Control F, paste it. It is going to locate this drop down only. Okay. Hash means the ID attribute. I hope this particular part makes sense to everyone. Perfect. Now, once we are getting the drop down, I'm just going to do a dot select option. Okay. And this select option technically requires the value. Okay. Option to select. If the select has multiple attributes, all the matching options are selected. Otherwise, only the first option matching one of the past option is going to be selected. So over here, what I can do is I can just give something like admin. Okay. The select option is admin. Now, if I go back over here, here you will see the value is admin. Are you getting the point? So let's save this. Let's click on the play button one more time. And you will see that this particular stuff has also been executed. It took 10 seconds to do that. So if I go back, you will notice admin is selected over here. Perfect. Now let's check one more thing. Over here now, I have given admin in lowercase because I was talking about this value attribute which was having admin. What if I was passing the visible text? Then what is going to happen? Let's see what is going to happen over here. I just change it to admin. I'm going to save this. Okay. Let's click on the play button. And you see it works. So over here, select option, whatever you are passing here, na, it can be the visible text. Okay. As well as, it can be the value attribute. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. Quickly try this thing at your end. Okay. I hope you guys have done this particular stuff. Now what? Now we have filled, the username, the password. We have selected something from the drop down. The next thing that is remaining is we are supposed to click on this login button, right? That's all we need to do. Come on. I want you guys to give it a shot first. I'll just help you out with the locator. I'm going to right click on inspect. Let me just do a control F for a moment. Let's remove this. Let's refresh this page, close this tab. For some reason, this guy is getting selected. Okay, let's close this. And I'm going to play on this particular button one more time. Okay, perfect. Now we have this login button, right? What are you going to use? This is a button. Okay, can we use locator? Yes, we can use locator. Should I use locator? If you look at the priority, okay, just to reiterate the priority over here, look carefully. Over here, the priority of the locator is the least. It is coming on the 7th position, right? It's coming on the 7th position. You will be using the first one, get by role. Okay, we will be using the get by role. So I can right click over here, click on inspect. Let's right click on inspect. We have a button. It has an ID. It has an ID, login button. It has a data test ID also coming into picture. Okay, but this is a button. So over here we can use the get by role. Okay, try to do it at your end quickly. See if you're able to do this. And over here you will be passing the object literal, okay, with name as a value. Okay, name as one of the key and the value is going to be login. Same stuff here. We have done it over here. Okay, name will be the attribute, value is going to be login. Try to do this thing. I hope you guys have written. Okay, now let me write it down. What we will be doing now, we will play with all the different permutation combinations kind of a stuff. I will be working with locator also over here for the same login button. Okay, we can use the data test ID. We can use the get by role. So you get comfortable in how to use it off. So I can simply say await page dot get by role. Okay, get by role. The role over here is what? Button. Then you are going to pass an object literal over here. Object literal. The object literal is going to have the first property as name and the value is going to be login. Okay. And then what do? You perform a click. Okay. You perform a click. I can save this. I can click on the play button. You see this got executed. If I go back over here, logged in as admin, it is working. Perfect. Now, the thing is, let me just log out. I don't want to log in with the get by role. Okay, I want to use some other stuff. So over here, I see ID login button. The moment I see ID login button, I know that I can use the locator. Okay. So over here, I will comment this particular line because we will not be using this particular approach. We will be going with the locator approach. And that is simple, guys. I can simply say await page dot get, not get, locator. And over here, you give the locator. Now, what do you want? Do you want to pass XPath? Let's go with XPath. Find anywhere on the page button that basically has an attribute ID whose value is going to be, which I forgot. I can quickly check over here. What is the value of this particular ID attribute? It is login button. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it over here. This is that XPath. I hope you guys have studied the red bus assignment and all, because over there we have discussed in detail, okay, how to write XPath and all. Okay, so this is basically that XPath, and then I can simply say dot. Okay, we are gonna get the loop element over here, and then technically I'm just gonna perform a click. Save this. Okay, let's click on the play button. You see it worked. Something went wrong over here. Let me just see. Let's close this for a moment. Let's run this chap one more time. And something is going wrong. Let me just see. I forgot to close the square bracket. The XPath is incorrect over here. My bad. I can save this. Click on the play button. Fast. So if I go back, logged in. Okay, this is your locator approach. What is the next one approach? Is the data test ID. Now, I can say over here, await page dot. Okay, this is going to be get by test ID. Test ID. And the test ID is over here. What? Let me just inspect. Login button. Login hyphen button. Just copy this. Paste it. So get by test ID. For getting the element with the test ID, you should check it should be data hyphen test ID. Data hyphen test ID login hyphen button. Okay. So this is something which is there. I can do a simple click. Let's save this. Let me just see if I've logged out. Yes, I have logged out. Let's click on the play button. And this also has worked. Okay. This also has worked. It took a little bit of time, 1556 milliseconds. So yeah, over here we are able to log in. One of the best thing about Playwright, which I'm liking a lot, is that it is technically telling me about the individual steps execution time. Okay, I can look at this particular step itself, the test script which I have written. Okay, and I can come to know whether it is optimized or not. Okay, so when we were using the get by role, okay, over there we were getting a better performance, right? So if I just remove this and I keep the get by role, over here it was 1556 milliseconds. So if I just click on the play button, okay, it's 1154. Okay, I don't know why that's happening, but this is what it is. Perfect. I hope this particular part makes sense to everyone. All right. Okay, this was the first question, guys. What are the different locators which are there in Playwright? Okay. Now, let's go back to the iPad again. Over here, guys, we're just going to quickly skim through it. We saw the 7 locators: get by role, get by label. I have not used get by label, but if there is going to be a scenario, we can definitely use it. Get by placeholder, we have used it. Get by text. Let me just see if I've used get by text. No, we haven't used get by text. Okay, test ID, we have used it. Get by alternate text, I have used it. Okay, locator, I have used it. So the important one, whatever you will be using on regular basis, we have used them. Okay, so please make sure, guys, that you are aware of all the core locators. Okay, don't worry, we have a lot of scenarios to cover over there. Also, we'll see what all we can cover it off. Now, again, this particular part, I have taken it from the main Playwright website itself, where they are talking about the recommended built-in locators. Okay, this is just for your proof. They are telling ki Baba, you go and use get role first. Okay. And over here, they have highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locators over here. You have something like get by title also, which technically talks about the title attribute, and I'm pretty sure that you will not be using them a lot. Okay, that's the reason I did not cover it off over here. Okay, for locating the elements, we have these 7. They haven't written the locator page dot locator method, but it basically comes later in their entire discussion. But in this way, we have 7 major locator strategies that they offer. One of the point that you should always remember for your interview, as well as generally when you're working with Playwright, is that always try to use what real user would see. Okay, real user is going to see text box, they are going to see buttons, they are going to see your table, your row, right? So importance needs to be given to the role based locators first, then you are going to give importance to the label. Okay, then you are going to give importance to the placeholder, then you are going to give importance to the text, and finally you will be giving importance to your XPath and CSS. The fallback strategy should always be the test ID. If nothing else work, you see that, okay, if you put XPath or CSS and you start noticing ki Baba, no, my element is still flaky, the scripts are not working the way it is supposed to, it's not concrete and all, then guys, it is better to go and check with test ID. You're supposed to tell to your developer to introduce these test ID attribute into the element. Okay, CSS and XPath should always be the last resort, okay, not the starting point. In Selenium WebDriver, it was generally the opposite. Okay, most of you guys, whoever have created the framework, you would have definitely used a lot of XPath, CSS, and all the stuff. Okay, times are changing. Like we live in a very funny and interesting time over here, because I remember on this particular channel also, I had covered a lot of scenarios talking about XPaths and how to write proper XPath and all those things. Now these things don't even matter. Okay. And that's what the whole thing is, guys. You will see that slowly and steadily, whatever you used to learn, okay, they become obsolete very quickly. Okay. And one of the advice that I want to give everyone who is watching this particular video is to be in that zone of learning. Okay. And you will technically see a lot of noises around you. Some will say that it is not worth it. Some people will say, why are you doing it? Or probably you're going to see some entertainment video or podcast or something like that. Because I see, okay, I get over there, like the analytics, what video you guys were watching, and based on what videos you started watching this particular lecture. So I come to know, okay, what you guys are up to and all. Okay. So the thing is, you will have a lot of distractions. Okay. And I will advise anyone who's watching this particular video to please start studying, or at least be in that zone of studies. What I mean by that is that every single day, put some little bit effort to learn something. Okay, don't just doom scroll, right? That's the term, right? Everyone knows that. So don't just consume stuff, create something. Okay, that is really going to help you out in long run. You might have seen that when you are looking at some elder people, okay, your parents or grandparents, you see that sometimes they find it a bit difficult to do basic things. Like on your mobile phone, you'll probably take you do this and do that and all. And what I realized is that they reached a certain point in their life where they stopped learning new things. They're just consuming stuff now, and you really can't change them. Okay. I'm not trying to belittle anyone over here, but the thing over here is key, we have a choice. Okay. We always have a choice to sit back or relax or be proactive. Okay. And trust me, right now, if you look at the internet, na, it's a very toxic place. Okay. I make lectures, so I know that part over here, that how much time me and my team really consume the internet and all. But the thing is, it's such a toxic place. If I really had the privilege, I would have really not been there on this particular stuff. But that's what it is. Okay. So learn to disconnect from the internet, learn to focus on things that matters to your life, matter to your career. And I promise you guys, things are going to be very different. 3 months. Give it 3 months and you'll be a very different person. Okay. Now, this was the first question, guys. Let's move on to the next question. The next question is, in what order should you prefer the locators and why? I believe everyone knows that now, that you will first be giving importance to your role, then label, then placeholder, text, test ID, and finally you're going to give importance to your CSS and XPath. I'm not going to spend time on this particular question, but you have the document, right? So you can just go through and skim through this particular stuff. It's going to be very quick over here. Okay, I've written the entire code snippet, whatever I have written in my screen. The same stuff I have attached and kept over here for your reference. The next question, which is a very important one. Okay, there is a locator. Okay, the question is a little bit haywire over here. There is a locator. Okay, and with that particular locator, you are technically getting multiple elements. Okay, you're technically getting multiple elements. What is going to happen if Playwright gets you multiple elements and you try to perform an operation on that? And how do you fix it? The one line answer for this particular stuff is, whenever Playwright gives you multiple elements, okay, and you try to perform an operation on that, Playwright is going to throw a strict mode violation error. Okay. So let's say you have given a locator. With that particular locator, Playwright is able to find multiple elements and you are performing an operation like click. Then what is going to happen? At runtime, you are going to get your strict mode violation error. Let's try to create this particular scenario. Over here, guys, let's close this chat. Let's go back over here. And this learning.spec.ts, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to do a F2. And let's call this as learning2.spec.ts. We really don't need all these things. We can really remove it off. Now, over here, you will notice that I have 3 edit buttons. Perfect. I'm going to right click over here. I'm going to click on inspect. Now, there is a button. Okay, the role is button. Visible text is edit. Can we write the locator for that? I'm going to say await page dot get by role. The role over here is going to be button, and the object literal which I'm going to pass is going to be having the attribute name, and over here it is going to be edit. Perfect. Now, with this particular locator, I will be getting 3 buttons. Okay, let's close this. I'm going to get 3 buttons, 3 edits. What I do is, I'm going to perform a click. I perform a play. So, if I'm going to click on the play button, let's see what happens. Okay, here we are getting an error. This particular line number 5 gives me an error, strict mode violation. If I'm going to bring this particular guy up, let's scroll up. Locator.click, error, strict mode violation, get by role button, name as edit, resolved into 3. I'm not able to scroll it over here. What's happening over here? Let's bring this guy over. Resolved into 3 elements. So technically, this particular locator gives me 3 elements. So it's not going to randomly click on the first one. Okay. With Selenium WebDriver, now the situation was a bit different. So if you had given a particular locator, and with that particular locator, you were getting more than one web element. What Selenium WebDriver used to do, it used to always click on the first one that comes on the page. But here what Playwright is going to do, it is not going to click on it. It is going to give me strict mode violation error. Now the interviewer is asking ki Baba, if with a locator you are able to find multiple elements, okay, what error you're gonna get? Strict mode violation error. The second part over here is how would you fix it? Okay, how would you handle this kind of a scenario? Again, it's very simple. So over here, what you can do is with this particular locator, I'm gonna get 3 element. Now, if I do a dot, I see all the other Playwright methods popping up. I can say first, get me the first element, and to that particular first element, perform the click. Perfect. Simple to read, easy to understand. This is going to give me 3 elements. From those 3 elements, we are going to get the first element, and to that first element, we are going to perform the click. So over here, look carefully. We have Jatin, Sarah, and Mike. Now, because I am saying first, right? I'm saying over here first, it is going to give me this particular element, that is Jatin's data. So I'm going to get this edit button of Jatin. Okay, and this one is going to get clicked. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. Let's see. Let's close this. I'm going to save it. I'm going to click on the play button. And you will notice that Jatin's fields are technically editable now. Okay, the edit button was clicked over here. All right. The second one over here is, let's say, last. If there is a first method, of course, there is going to be a last method also. So I can just change it to last. I'm going to save it. Let's click on the play button. And you know what is going to happen, right? The moment I'm going to click on the play button, it is going to click on the edit button for Mike, because Mike is the last element over here. Pretty simple, straightforward. Okay. Now, I can use the first, I can use the last. Okay. The next approach that comes over here is a special method which is called the nth method. Okay. Returns the locator to the nth matching element. So over here, it is going to technically return me the nth matching element, and you are supposed to give the index. So Jatin is going to be on the 0th index. Sarah is going to be on the first index. Mike is going to be on the second index. So over here, what I do is I pass 1. If I am passing 1, tell me which edit button is going to be clicked. It is going to be clicked for Sarah, because Jatin is 0, Sarah is 1, Mike is 2. Okay. So this edit button is going to be clicked. Here you can see nth as 1 written also. Perfect. Now let's close this. Let's save this. Let's click on the play button. Okay. The edit button got clicked over here for Sarah. Perfect. What is going to happen if I give a wrong index? Let's say int 5. Now we don't have an int 5. What is going to happen? Let's see that. Let's click on the play button. Okay. It's trying to find that element, okay, on the int 5. Okay. After 30 seconds, this particular script is going to fail. Okay, so we technically get a timeout exception. Okay, or timeout error over here, not an exception, timeout error over here. Please make a note of this particular point. If the index is wrong, okay, or technically we don't have any particular index, okay, for this particular locator, you'll end up getting a timeout exception. Okay, what is the default timeout over here? 30 seconds. Okay, I hope this particular part makes sense to everyone. Perfect. Quickly practice this particular stuff at your end. I hope you guys have written the code, guys. Now, the next thing. See, over here, we are able to work with locators, particularly if a locator is able to find more than one element. Okay, you can go with the first, last, or the nth method. In the nth method, you're supposed to pass the index of that particular element. Now, the next way to handle this kind of a scenario where with one locator you will be getting multiple elements is to do something which is called as filters. Okay. Now, think of filters similar to that of your chaining of web elements. Now, if you remember, chaining of web elements was what? With the help of one web element, I was able to find another web element, right? So over here, what we will be doing is we will be finding the entire row. We will find this entire row. Once we find the entire row, then in that particular row, we will find the button. Okay. So how to do that? So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say await. Await page dot. Methods are not popping up over here. Let me just close this. This quickly. Let's close this guy. Okay. I'm just going to say page dot get by role. Get by role. And the role which I'm going to pass over here is going to be row. Is going to be row. The second thing, the object literal which I'm going to pass over here is going to be one of the visible text. Now over here, one of the visible text that I can literally pass is technically, let's say the name, right? I can just give the name as Jatin. Let me just close this for a moment. Yeah, now the suggestions are popping up. I can give over here something like Jatin. So what is going to happen? It is going to select the row which has the visible text somewhere Jatin. So if I go back over here, it's technically going to give me this particular chart. Perfect, because here the one of the visible text is Jatin. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is once I find this row, to that particular row, I'm going to do a dot get, let's say by role, and here I'm going to say find a button. Okay, find a button, and over here the name is going to be edit. So I hope you know that. First, I'm going to get the row. Once I get the row, to that particular row, I am technically doing a get role again, get by role again, and that time I'm finding a button, which technically is going to have the visible text as edit, and then I'm going to perform the click. This is what I've written. Now, let's click on the play button and see whether it works. And you will notice that it works, that it has clicked on the edit button for Jatin. Perfect. Now, it can work for any visible text. If I just change this to, let's say, QA, okay, over here, the department is QA. So it's technically going to click on this tab only. Okay. Let's say if I change it to DevOps. Okay. I save this. I go back over here. The focus is going to be on Sarah right now. Okay. So this is the one which would have got failed. Now, let's try it off. I'm going to click on the play button. And it has clicked over here. And here you will see Sarah is technically, okay, available for clicking and making changes over here. So I hope this particular part makes sense to everyone. Perfect. So this is basically the chaining that we are doing. Okay. Now, I want you guys to quickly practice this particular stuff. One more way, guys, we can literally find the edit button over here again is with the help of filters. Now, I have written over here filters, but I technically did not explain you the filter method. So look carefully over here. Whenever you're talking about the filter method, now you will technically be using it on the locator. Okay. So over here, I have page dot locator, and here I have given the CSS selector TR. TR is technically the row. Okay. Now this row which we had given over here first, which was basically the role. But when I'm giving the locator method, you can either give the CSS or you can give the XPath. If I was giving the XPath, I would have written 2/TR. Okay. Dot filter method is going to come into picture. Filter, it should have a text 102. This is ID. So with this particular stuff, what we are doing is we are first finding the row. Okay. We are first finding the row. So we will find the row which basically has a visible text 102. TR is going to technically give me all the 4 rows. Why 4 rows? You have the header also, na? So you have the header, you have Jatin, you have Sarah, you have Mike. So you are going to get the header. You're going to get the Sarah, you're going to Jatin, you're going to get the Sarah, and you're going to get Mike. Now, once we get all the 4 rows, we are going to select the one which is going to have the visible text 10. And then you do the get role by again. Okay. You give that you want to find a button. The button is going to have the visible text at edge, and you're going to technically perform a click. Okay. This is the same stuff. Let's try to do this also. Now, this is kind of a chaining. But if you want to work on the filters part, you would have written something like this. Await page dot. I would say get. Let me just close this particular guy first. Okay. Await page dot get locator. Okay, and not get locator. We are going to have the locator method popping up into picture. Locator. The locator, I'm going to give the CSS one only, TR. Okay. So because I'm giving TR, you will notice we have 4, na? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is technically going to give me 4, I would say, elements. Okay. Then I'm going to use the filter method. And over here, we're going to pass an object literal as text. And it should have the text over here, probably, let's say, Jatin. Then we are technically getting the row which has Jatin. So we are technically getting this entire row. Edit, delete, view, active, QA, Jatin, 101, everything you're getting it off. And then we will use the same chat. Literally copy the same line, dot get by role, dot click. Perfect. Now let's bring this guy up. Let's click on the play button. Let's see whether it works. It works. Perfect. This is what it is. This is the filter bar. Okay. So there are 3 ways using which you can solve the problem of a single locator, which is technically finding multiple elements. I hope this particular part is clear to everyone. Perfect. I hope you have done this particular step, Hati. Now let's go back to the notes quickly. So over here, we saw the 3 solutions. We saw the filter one. Okay. We saw the chaining part. We saw the nth method, the first method, and the last method. Also, one more thing is there I forgot to talk about, which was the data test ID. Okay. If none of these things are working, you are supposed to reach out to the data test ID. Technically, you should be telling your developer to introduce this data test ID attribute to the respective buttons. Okay. So, of course, each button technically should have a unique test ID per row. And once it is going to have this unique test ID, you can use page.get by test ID, edit button Jatin, okay, whatever the ID is, and then you can perform the click. Now, remember, Playwright uses strict mode by default. Multiple matches always throw an error. Okay, multiple matches throws an error. And what is the error that you're going to get? Strict mode violation error. Please make a note of this particular point also. You will end up getting strict mode violation error. Use dot filter with row context instead of dot inth method whenever possible. So the better approach is to always use the filter approach or chaining, okay, instead of the first, last, and the nth one. Okay. Data test ID on each row button is the cleanest long-term solution. Okay. But again, if you don't have the data test ID, then you are supposed to go with the uh, filter or the chaining approach. Okay. Later on, you check with the first, last, or the nth method over there. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. Perfect. Now, what is the next question? Lachan, how do you work with a list of elements? Okay. If we were talking it from Selenium WebDriver perspective, okay, we were having the find elements method, which used to return us list of web elements. Then you do a traversing and all those things, and individually you can technically get those individual elements, right? Over here, we have a very special method which is called as the dot all method. Okay, the dot all to convert a locator into an array, so you can loop over every match. So over here, the edit locator that we have, if I just say that find the element, okay, which technically has this edit visible text, or a button which is technically edit, I'm going to get 3 buttons, right? Now I want to work with all the 3, or I want to traverse all the 3 locators. Then what we are going to do, you're going to use the dot all. The moment you use the dot all, what is going to happen? You are going to get an array. So this entire stuff technically returns as an array. Okay. And count is basically the reference to this particular array. And once you get an array, you do whatever you want. You can traverse it. Okay. You can get the length. You can perform any operation you want. All those things you can do it. So this is something also we can quickly practice it all. Let's go back over here to the screen. Over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. I am just going to make a change. Let's call this learning 3. Something went wrong over here. Let me just rename this to learning 3.spec.ts. Let's remove all these things. We just need this chat. We don't want to perform a click. Okay. So over here, when I say await page.get by role button name edit, this is going to give me 3 buttons, right? Because on a page, we have 3 edit buttons. Perfect. Now, to this particular locator, if I just put a dot all method, what is going to happen? It's technically returns us an array. So I'm just going to say this is going to be edit array, something like that. And I can do something like this: console.log edit array dot length. Okay. Now, if I'm going to click on the play button, let's see what happens. And you will see the length of edit array is 3. 3 signifies ki baba, there are 3 edit buttons. Perfect. Getting the point. Now, what is the next thing? If I have an array, I can traverse the array also. What I can do? I can say for edit array. And over here, we are going to use for off. So from this array, one by one, I will be getting the individual edit button. Okay. And I can do whatever. I can perform a click, or I can print the visible text on my console. Maybe I just want to print the visible text on my console. So I can simply say console.log edit button dot text content. Now understand, here I'm saying text content. Text content is basically a Playwright method. So you're supposed to write await over here. Okay. Let's click on the play button. The visible text is getting printed on my screen. Are you getting the point over here? So this is how you work with multiple elements. So if I am going to have a locator which technically gives me multiple elements, I can store all the elements in an array. Okay. And then I can traverse that particular array with the help of for off method, or you can write a simple for loop that is also going to work. And whatever the operations you want to perform, you can perform it at your end. I hope this part makes sense. Perfect. So let's go back to the iPad also. Now, over here, remember that the all method, okay, technically is going to give you a real JavaScript array. So the all returns a real JavaScript array that you can loop over. Count is faster when you just want to know the total number of the elements which are there in that particular array instead of looping them. Okay. Always use shift or skip the header row when looping a table. So the thing is, whenever you're working with table data, okay, if I would have written over here TR, so I would have got the table header also. So you have to make sure that you first perform a skip for the first index. That is technically whatever is going to be there on the 0th index, because on the 0th index, you may have the header. From the first index onward, you will be going to have your test data or whatever the data which is there in the table. So use the skip method to skip the header row whenever you're performing the looping over a table. I hope this part makes sense to everyone. Now, the last question over here is, how do you click a button inside one specific table row? We have just seen the part, right? So if I go back to the screen, first, you're going to find the row, you're going to filter it off, and then you're going to use a get my row button. Whatever is the visible text, the placeholder, whatever is the thing, okay, you can give over your name, and then you can form the click. This is something which you need to be aware of. All right. So that's all. That's all we had for today. We have covered like 5 important interview questions, and I hope at the end of this particular lecture, you would have got a little bit better understanding on how to work with locators. And hopefully, if the interviewer asks you these 5 questions, you will be able to answer it off over there. Now, I want you guys to practice this entire assignment again one more time at your end without watching this particular video. If you get stuck somewhere, you can definitely revisit this particular lecture. Now I'm going to see you guys in the next class. Okay, don't forget to mark your attendance, go to the comment section and tell that you have completed these things. And if you guys have given any Playwright related interviews, please share those questions with me over LinkedIn. Okay, I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Have a good day.